Do you want to know how to deal with a stubborn child in a positive way? It is possible. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about stubborn children. In this video, we're going to be talking about what stubborn children do, why they do this and why this can make it difficult for us. And we're going to talk about what parents often do that can make it worse, that they may not be recognizing, as well as what you can do to help a stubborn child in a positive way. Years ago, the topic of the strong-willed child came into the parenting scene, and people came to the conclusion that being strong-willed was a bad thing, that this was going to make parenting difficult because this child now would be pushing back against parents, and they needed to be, pushed into submission maybe by the parents. I don't know what people think about it, but I know they think it's an unfortunate circumstance if they have a strong-willed child. And nothing could be further from the truth. I'm a strong-willed child. I have 4 children of my own. They are all strong-willed children. My husband is a strong-willed person. People who are strong-willed are incredibly productive. They're innovative. They're go-getters. They are the type of people that will go. They will step out of their comfort zones. They will put themselves on the line and take risks like other people don't do. I mean, really strong-willed people are the type of people you want to have as a leader. They are the people that everyone is looking for so that they can have someone to trust and rely upon. The strong-willed person looks for truth. When they find the truth, they stand firm on it and they lead the people toward it. That is the hallmark of a good strong-willed person. So one thing that usually characterizes a strong-willed person is their stubbornness or their desire not to be moved, not to be shifted. In fact, oftentimes they want to make decisions for themselves instead of being told what something should or shouldn't be like. When you're dealing with this strong-willed person, remember something. We're going to talk about the stubbornness, but I just want you to have an insight to that strong-willed person. What are they looking for most? Truth. Who do they want to recognize the truth for them? Themselves. Who are they going to finally submit to? Themselves. That's what a strong-willed person is like. So if you think that sounds stubborn, well, you're right. They are stubborn. Once they find a truth, they stick to it no matter what, unless they find another truth that supersedes that truth. As a child, I was a very strong-willed child. I have videos about that on this channel. Hopefully you're subscribed to the channel and you're catching all of the content that is here for you. But I talk about how I changed from being strong-willed in a negative way to strong-willed in a positive way. That's the main thing I want to tell you. Is this stubborn person, they may be annoying to you, but they could just be strong-willed and they could be actually a powerhouse. They could be a person that in the end, everyone will end up following. They could be the next leader right there in your home. So if you can help that person turn that strong-willed, stubborn tendency toward following the truths that they're looking for in a good direction, they end up having a very powerful, very positive impact on society. So what do stubborn children do? Well, they push back. When you say this is how something is, they question you. Is it though? I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. They test you, they test truths that you tell, they test boundaries. They are the child that wants to rebel just a little bit because they want to see if it's really that way. Now, some children, when they're toddlers, are stubborn. They don't want to be told no, and they don't want to be given instructions. They want to pick to do things their own way. Sometimes that goes well into their adult years. It's just a tendency that some people have. What is happening when that person is being stubborn? What are they really trying to say? They're saying, let me figure it out. Let me ask the right questions. Let me think about this a little bit. I've got to come to the truth on my own. Be patient with me for just a second. Now, is it the right way for them to communicate those things, to be aggressive or to be dominating in conversations? No, those are not good characteristics. Sometimes a person can be stubborn and completely calm, but sometimes a person can be stubborn and be totally aggressive. The idea is to recognize it's not the stubbornness that's the problem. It's the behavior choice after the person has decided, I want to figure this out on my own, that is actually the problem. And many times parents, because they don't recognize that it's not the stubbornness that's the problem, but it's the behavior choice that's the problem, they end up creating more and more of a behavioral problem with that person. So parents sometimes unknowingly do things that make the stubborn child start to become aggressive, or even get more and more stubborn, less receptive to the information or teaching from parents. They push too hard at being right. They don't listen to what the other person is trying to say. Just because a person is stubborn doesn't mean that you should just write them off as somebody they're just stubborn, and don't listen to them. Listen. What are they saying? What are they telling you? It's probably important. At the very least, it's super important to them. And if you want to help them, you've got to listen. So help them understand how to engage with you in a way where they can be heard. How can they get understood? There's actually a skill that I teach on this channel called disagreeing appropriately. This is the perfect skill to teach a child, or any person for that matter, so that they can learn how to be heard or understood when they're feeling like they're not being. Stubborn people need this because they really do want to make sure that people know and are understood. So, not listening, writing them off, these are all things that are going to lead to problems. And what are the problems that you're going to find with a stubborn person that starts to turn toward aggressiveness with their behavior choice? You are going to experience power struggle. And one of the worst things you can do when a person is a stubborn person who has chosen a power struggle, the worst thing that you can do is engage in the power struggle with them. What does it look like to engage in a power struggle? It looks like talking back to them, telling them they're wrong, telling them that they're out of control, really kind of, feeding them, fueling them with their emotions. You don't want to get into that with a person who's really stubborn, because whether they're wrong or right, if they are a stubborn personality, if you have engaged in a power struggle with them, even if they know they're already wrong, they're going to finish it because they're stubborn. So, how do we help them? Is there anything that we can do? Yes. So what can we do to direct a stubborn child? That's the key thing, is direct. We have to recognize that they get to make a choice. Everything that they do, they are choosing to do. Everything they say, everything they think, they are choosing. So instead of thinking, I've got to get them under control, I've got to get them to stop, instead of thinking any of those things, we think, I need to direct them. I need to point in a good direction, and I need to let them see that it was their choice to go there too. Okay? So let's say that we have a stubborn person who does not want to get out of bed in the morning. That could be a common one, right? So you've got maybe a 14-year-old boy who doesn't want to wake up. He is just too tired today, Mom. No thanks, And you come in and say, hey, it's time to wake up. And he says, nah. And he rolls over, and he's stubborn. So now, what are you going to do? Well, the first thing I would do is I would do a pre-teach, and then I would go into a skill that I've already taught him ahead of time. So I'm going to teach my children in a self-government home the 4 basic skills of communication, which are to follow instructions, accept no answers and criticism, accept consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. If I'm telling him he needs to get out of bed, that's actually an instruction. Now, if I say it's time to wake up, and I don't make it clear that that's an instruction, instruction. I could just be declaring, hey, look at the sun. It's time to wake up. In that case, he may be saying, nope, I'm not doing it. But if he knows there's an instruction coming, that's a different thing, because now he has steps associated with that skill. There are 5 steps for following an instruction. You look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, do the task immediately, and then check back. So I'm going to do a pre-teach and say, hey, right now I have an instruction for you. Remember to follow an instruction, and then I would list these steps. And then I would say, if you choose to follow the instruction, now that's the key thing, if you choose to. If you choose to follow the instruction, probably your day is going to start out a little bit better, because we're not going to have to start by doing intensive teaching and earning negative consequences and stuff like that. And so you'll be able to just move on with your day and do whatever you want with the morning. But if you choose not to follow the instruction, then the first thing that we're going to be doing in your day is we're going to be doing corrections and maybe intensive teachings, and then you'll earn negative consequences, and you'll have to do those first thing and still fit in everything else that you need to do for your morning. Okay, here is your instruction. So now you've laid the whole thing out. The stubborn person needs that. They need you to lay everything out for them. Now they go, okay, I get to choose because I have all of the information. If they choose to stay in bed, then they know they're choosing corrections, possible intensive teachings, negative consequences, all of that. They're picking it. They know that. Don't worry if they pick it. It's fine. So now you give the instruction. I need you to wake up. Okay. Now at that point, if they're smart, they look at you, stay calm and say, okay. And they get up and then they say, I got up. Is there anything else? And they check back to you, and then you praise them and everything moves on, and you tell them what a great choice it was, that now they have a ton of time and they don't have to start their day out with extra chores. Great. But if they choose not to, then we go through the plan of doing the corrections and possibly to the intensive teaching as well. So let's say your child does go out of control and you need to correct them, and then they might even still go more out of control and say, I'm not getting out of this bed forever no matter what. Well, then you need more skills. You need intensive teaching skills as well. All of those intensive teaching skills are taught in my parenting mastery trainings, my TSG parenting course, but I do have a class here on this channel that is a little bit more of an insight into some of these skills that I keep referring to. That class is called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. So click on the link to that video now and get more information about corrections. Get on the road to pre-teaching the child so that you don't have a lot of those stubborn outbursts in the first place. I'll see you there.